Unit2, Part 1. You must be able to explain the roles and the duties of the key stakeholders, their importance in terms of medical schemes, and how they are governed by the Medical Schemes Act. So when we look at the learning outcomes, knowledge outcomes, the things that you need to know, which we're going to discuss in more detail in this unit, is the following list of things. You must be able to list the key stakeholders. You must be able to demonstrate an understanding of the role and the duties each stakeholder performs in the context of medical schemes. You must show an understanding of the Minister of Health and the Council of Medical Schemes, the CMS strategy and objectives. In terms of the Medical Schemes Act, you must be able to explain how trustees and the principal officers are appointed. You must understand the responsibilities that vest with trustees and the principal officer and the impact on the scheme if either or both parties don't act in accordance with their mandate with specific reference to governance. You must be able to describe how legislation governs the relationship between intermediaries and medical schemes and the regulation around commission payable to intermediaries. You must be able to describe the code of conduct that applies to intermediaries who market medical scheme products and the accreditation process applicable to intermediaries who provide advice to members, employers with reference to FACE and Medical Schemes Act. You must be able to explain the steps that need to be followed when providing a client, both employer and individual, with advice on choosing the most suitable medical scheme and benefit option. You must be able to demonstrate knowledge of alternative dispute resolution channels available to members of a medical scheme. You must be able to explain the regulations that apply to administrators with reference to the Act, outline the requirements for managed care organizations to be accredited as stipulated in the Medical Schemes Act, explain the rules regarding the conditions for providing managed health care, understand the rights afforded to medical scheme members through the Medical Schemes Act and the responsibilities, and explain the regulations that apply to schemes and interim administrators in terms of the Medical Schemes Act. You must be able to explain where bargaining councils fit in relation to medical schemes. You must be able to assist a member with lodging a complaint or dispute correctly, and be able to explain and apply the steps that need to be followed when providing a client with advice on choosing the most suitable medical scheme and benefit option. That is what you all need to know. So if we look at this diagram, you see right here in the middle, we've got the fund. Whatever fund, whoever it is, let's say it's the scheme. Let's call it ABC Medical. And ABC Medical has got certain benefits which are like hospital benefits, hospital savings, cap cover, etc. And then you can say, here you are, the members of the fund. You and all the other members, you give your monthly contributions. The fund have rules. They have a principal officer, like the CEO or main canoni. And then they also consist of some trustees. All right. Oh, and then there's administrators as well. So let's call it This is ABC medical scheme. Alrighty. But they get ruled and they must follow the Medical Schemes Act, which is also run by the Minister, the Council for Medical Schemes, and the Registrar. They all have their eyes on ABC, medical aid, medical scheme. And then, as well as the Board of Health Care Funders of Southern Africa, also tell them what to do. They might have the suppliers, which is the hospitals, the doctors, the dentists, or managed care organization like SpectrumMed or something like that. The brokers also look at them and sell their products, and then we've got the insurers for the gap cover and stuff like that. So this is the whole scenario, how everything fits in and fits together. So then there's a 10-point plan. The 10-point plan, as listed in the foreword of the Minister of Health to the Department of Health's 2012 strategy document, it says, number 1, they must make provision of strategic leadership and creation of a social compact for better health outcomes. Number 2, implementation of a national health insurance, the NHI. 3, improving the quality of health services for the people of the country. Number 4, overhauling the health care system and improve its management. Number 5, improving human resource management, planning and development. Number 6, revitalization of the infrastructure. Number 7, accelerated implementation of HIV and AIDS and sexually transmitted infections. National Strategic Plan from 2007 to 2011, and increased focus on TB and other communication diseases. Number 8, mass mobilization for better health for the population. Number 9, review of the drug policy. And number 10, strengthening research and development. This was taken from the foreword by the Minister of Health to the 2012 Department of Health strategic document, and there is the website list. Please don't click on it, it won't work now, alright? So just in case you wanted, you can write it down and type it in, but to click on it won't work now. It's on a slide. Regulator, the Council of Medical Schemes, CMS. The Council for Medical Schemes is a statutory body established by the Medical Schemes Act 131 of 1998 to provide regulatory supervision of private health financing through medical schemes. It does so by administering and enforcing the Medical Schemes Act 131 of 1998. Its purpose is to protect members' interests and to control and coordinate the functioning of medical schemes in a way that is in line with national health policy. As an organ of the state, it regulates and monitors medical schemes, administrators, managed healthcare organizations, and healthcare brokers. In summary, though, the CMS has the power to approve the registration, suspension, and cancellation of registration of any medical scheme or its benefit options if they are not happy or satisfied. The Council determines overall policy, but day-to-day decisions and management of staff is the responsibility of the Registrar and the Executive Managers. The Council for Medical Schemes supervises a massive and essential industry comprising more than 80 medical schemes registered in the country. Its purpose is to protect members' interests and control and coordinate the functioning of medical schemes in a way that it is in line with national health policy. As an organ of the state, it regulates and monitors medical schemes, administrators, managed healthcare organizations, and healthcare brokers. So the Medical Schemes Act gives the Council several statutory objectives, including to protect the interest of the medical schemes and their members, to monitor the solvency and financial soundness of medical schemes, to control and to coordinate the functioning of medical schemes in a manner that is complementary to the national health policy, then to investigate complaints and settle disputes concerning the affairs of medical schemes, to collect and disseminate information about private healthcare in South Africa, to make rules that are in line with the Medical Schemes Act concerning its functions and powers, and to make recommendations to the Minister of Health on criteria for measuring quality and outcomes of the relevant health services provided for by the medical schemes. So when you look at the powers of the Council as set out in Section 8 and other parts of the Act include appointing staff necessary to assist the Council in the performance of its functions and the execution of its duties, approving the budget for the Council and the functions performed by the Registrar, approving the registration, suspension and cancellation of registration of medical schemes or benefit options, exempting a medical scheme or other person from complying from the provisions of the Act in exceptional cases and subject to such terms and conditions and for such periods as the Council may determine, and removing from office a member of the Board of Trustees of a medical scheme if, in the opinion of the Council, such a person is not fit and proper to hold such office. The person may only be removed after the Council has considered comments from that person on the information in the Council's possession to the effect that the trustee is not fit and proper. So they, according to Section 46, so they cannot just make a one-sided decision. They need to get that person in and tell him, this is the evidence we have that you are not fit and proper. What can you say about it? Maybe it's the wrong information, something like that. So you've got time to defend yourself if you are that person. But after they've talked to you, you see, that's why they said they can only remove that person after the Council has considered comments from that person on the information which they have. So when you look at the Council of the Medical Schemes, the CMS, what is their vision? Their vision is to promote vibrant and affordable healthcare cover for all. Their mission, the CMS regulates that medical schemes regulates the medical schemes industry fairly and transparently, and achieve this by protecting the public and informing them about their rights, their obligations and other matters in respect of medical schemes, ensuring that complaints raised by members of the public are handled appropriately and speedily, ensuring that all entities conducting the business of medical schemes and other regulated entities comply with the Medical Schemes Act, ensuring the improved management and governance of medical schemes, advising the Minister of Health of appropriate regulatory and policy interventions that will assist in attaining national health policy objectives, and ensuring collaboration with other entities in executing our regulatory mandate. One of the responsibilities of the CMS is the resolution of disputes between members and medical schemes. The Council for Medical Schemes governs the medical schemes industry, and therefore complaints should be related to medical scheme issues. Chapter 10 of the Medical Schemes Act deals with the rules around complaints and the appeals process. A summary of the complaints procedure as outlined in Chapter 10 is summarized below. The Complaints Adjudication Unit serves beneficiaries of medical schemes and the general public by investigating and resolving complaints effectively, efficiently, and fairly. By doing this, it ensures that beneficiaries are being treated fairly by their medical schemes. This unit serves the beneficiaries of medical schemes and the general public by investigating and resolving complaints and disputes lodged against medical schemes. Amongst other duties, the unit is also responsible for the following: monitoring the fair treatment of members and ensuring that members have access to the benefits provided for in the rules of medical schemes. Monitoring compliance with the Medical Schemes Act and the registered rules of medical schemes. Providing legal certainty and consistency on decisions issued on complaints. So when you look at the functions and the power of the registrar of medical schemes, referred to as the registrar, is the executive officer of the council and must manage the affairs of the council. The Minister of Health appoints the registrar and the deputy registrar after consulting with the council. So what is the registrar's power? The registrar's powers include the following: registration of medical schemes if the registrar, with the concurrence of the council, is satisfied that the scheme complies with or will be able to comply with the Act according to Section 24. The registrar may impose any terms or conditions they deem necessary on a registered scheme. But the registrar may not, however, register any scheme. Is not allowed to register any scheme unless, and make a note there in your books, unless the council is satisfied that the members of the board and the principal officers are fit and proper people. This is very important. If you're not fit and proper, they cannot register the scheme. So they must be fit and proper to hold the office concerned, unless the scheme complies with or will be able to comply with any other provision of the Act, and unless the scheme is or will be financially sound. Right? They cannot go under because of finances. There must be enough money. Because remember, there might be a lot of medical claims, hospital bills that they need to settle. Unless the scheme has sufficient members who contribute or are likely to contribute to it. So there must be sufficient members who contribute. That is or likely. The possibility to contribute is very likely. You cannot start the medical scheme with 2 members, because what if both of them are in an accident? A husband and a wife in one car in a serious accident. Now they paid the first premium for the both of them for 3,000 rand or 5,000 rand, 10,000, but now their hospital bill is over R1 million. You are out of pocket with 990,000 or R1 million, depending on the amount. So you need sufficient members. Regulation 2. If you look at Regulation 2, states that the minimum number of members required, so the minimum Number of members required, my artwork, for registration is 6,000. And that this number of members must, not may, must be admitted within the first 3 months of registration of a scheme. So you must, in your business plan, be able to tell the registrar how are you going to get to that sufficient members, or at least a minimum of 6,000 members within the first 3 months. The scheme does not or will not unfairly discriminate against anyone on any grounds, including race, gender, marital status, ethnic or social origin, sexual orientation, pregnancy, disability, and state of health. And registration is not contrary to the public interest. If the registrar rejects a scheme's application for registration, they must tell the scheme why it does not comply with that. They must give them reasons. The registrar can demand from the person who manages the business of a medical scheme, which is in the process of being established, financial guarantee. So how are you going to financial back up this if there's claims in the beginning? Which in the opinion of the council ensure the financial stability of the scheme regarding section 24 subsection 5. So maybe they've got a lot of investors that back them up with millions and millions of rands, or they've got a lot of property, or they maybe started another business which has got millions and millions or billions and billions of gazillions in the bank account, and they said this business will back up this one. The registrar may, with the concurrence of the council, deregister the scheme, that's according to section 27, on proof that it has ceased to operate. So if your medical scheme didn't work out and you close the doors, they can deregister it because it ceased to exist. You close the doors, no more. Or if the scheme was registered as a result of misleading information, you misled them and you gave them the wrong information just to be registered, and they found out that you've misled them, even though you're carrying on. The problem is you misled them to get the registration, so then they can just deregister the medical scheme, although it's going on very nicely. That will be really sad. If the scheme is unable to remain financially sound, as provided for in the Act, you are paying more out than you're getting in, and I see your business are going downwards, you're not going to make it. Or if the scheme is unable to enroll, so you're unable to enroll within the required period or maintain the minimum number of members for registration as a scheme. As we just saw on the previous slide, a specific number of minimum clients or a minimum of 6,000 within the first 3 months. Or if the scheme after written notice from the registrar persists in violating any provisions of any act. That is all reasons why the registrar can deregister that medical scheme and tell them, sorry, you cannot operate as a medical scheme anymore, any longer. And that's the end of this part 1 of Unit 2. If you've got any questions, there's my email address, and I'll reply with my answers and comments. See you in the next part.